I watched through the crack in my childhood bedroom door as my mother handed Diana an envelope. A thick envelope. The kind that holds checks, not birthday cards. "Don't tell your sister," my mother whispered, glancing toward the stairs. "You know how Callie gets about money." The words hit like a slap. My ears started ringing, a high-pitched whine that made everything else sound distant and muffled. Don't tell your sister. They knew. They knew it was wrong. Diana peeked inside. Her eyes went wide. "Mom, this is $50,000. Are you sure?" $50,000. "Your father and I want you to have it," my mother said. "The boutique needs inventory, and we believe in you, sweetheart." They embraced. I pulled back, pressing myself against the hallway wall. My hands were shaking so violently I had to ball them into fists. "Don't tell your sister. Don't tell your sister." I was 28 years old, living in a studio apartment in Portland where the heater barely worked. 3 weeks of rice and beans because my student loan payment had wiped out my grocery budget. And my parents had just handed Diana $50,000. This was the third time in 2 years. But this time I'd heard the truth. Don't tell your sister. Through the wall, Diana was on the phone. "Jess, oh my God, Mom and Dad came through again. 50,000. I can finally get that Italian marble for the showroom." Italian marble. With money they claimed didn't exist when I'd begged for help 6 months ago. "You need to be more financially responsible," my father had said then. "We can't bail you out every time you make poor choices." Poor choices. Like college. Like a degree that led to $47,000 a year. My phone buzzed. "Mom, dinner in 20 minutes. Diana's treating us to stories about the boutique. In the past I would have exploded, confronted them, made a scene, and they would have made me feel guilty for keeping score. Not this time." I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet. Every gift, every loan never repaid, every down payment, car purchase, credit card bill. I added today's entry, $50,000. Boutique inventory. Total, $347,000. $347,000 over a decade. Then I opened the other folder. Grandma's trust documents. She'd left Diana $125,000 and left me $165,000. Diana had taken her share 3 years ago, then kept taking. Emergency distributions, temporary loans, $165,000 from my inheritance, gone. My trust balance sat at $0. I'd photographed everything, every authorization with my father's signature approving withdrawals from my money. My hands pressed flat against the desk, still trembling. Something had shifted inside me, something cold and sharp. "Callie," Diana beamed when I came downstairs. "Come look at these renderings for the new boutique." I walked over. The iPad screen showed Italian marble, brass fixtures, custom millwork. "Di, these are beautiful," I said. My voice came out steady. "You're building something amazing." Diana blinked, surprised. "Really?" "Absolutely." I turned to my parents. "You two must be so proud." My mother's eyes welled up. "Oh, Callie, it's so nice to hear you say that." We sat down. My father raised his glass. "We have news. Your mother and I are selling the downtown building." I let my face show surprise. "Really?" "We're ready to retire," my mother said. "The building's appreciated so much. Should get at least $2 million. "We're giving Diana $500,000, my mother said, glowing, "to really do the boutique expansion right. Multiple locations, maybe franchise opportunities." My vision went spotty at the edges, white dots dancing across my field of vision. I almost choked. $500,000 more, on top of the $347,000, while my inheritance sat at nothing, completely wiped out. "That's very generous," I said. Diana squeezed my hand. "You're being so great about this, Cal. I know Mom and Dad help me more than they help you, but you understand, right? I need it more. You're so good with money and so independent." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. "I understand perfectly," I said, and I did. They would never see me, never value me, never give me what they gave her, unless I took it. After dinner, I went back to my room, opened my laptop. By midnight, I had investor contacts. By 2 a.m., I had a lawyer. By 3 a.m., I'd incorporated Hartwell Properties LLC, my grandmother's maiden name. By dawn, I had a plan. I'd spent my whole life being invisible. That was about to change. The email arrived at 2:47 a.m. Subject, closing complete, 1515 Pike Street, Seattle. I read it 3 times before my brain could process the words. Then I started laughing, quietly at first, then so hard I had to muffle the sound with my pillow. The laughing turned into crying, then back to laughing. I owned their building. My parents' building was now mine. Saturday morning, Mom's text arrived. Family celebration dinner tonight. 6 p.m. Diana has big news. I arrived with expensive wine, charged to my new business account. Inside, Mom had outdone herself. Good china, flowers, candles. Callie, Diana hugged me, smelling like Tom Ford perfume. $350 a bottle. Mom wore a new Hermes scarf. Diana gave it to me. Early birthday present. $400 minimum. Given with money they'd probably given her first. Dad poured champagne. We got an offer on the building. Some group called Hartwell Properties. Your grandmother's maiden name. Can you believe it? What a coincidence, I said. My voice stayed steady. 2.3 million. Mom clasped her hands. More than we expected. Not a miracle. 3 months of planning. 5 investor calls. 2 lawyers. Dad raised his glass. 2 unexpected opportunities. The word unexpected made heat flash through my chest. Unexpected for them. We clinked glasses. Came in Wednesday, Dad said. 15% above asking. The realtor said she'd never seen anything like it. Because I'd made it irresistible. What will you do with the money? Diana leaned forward. Mom and Dad are investing in my boutique expansion. $500,000. She said it like winning the lottery. Pure joy. Zero awareness. $847,000 total now, over 10 years. That's amazing, I said. The words felt like stones in my mouth. What about you, Callie? Dad asked. How's work? I landed a major consulting contract. Tech Core Systems. 6 months, $240,000. Silence. Dad's fork stopped midair. 240,000? I'm quitting my corporate job, building it into a real business. Diana inspired me, actually. Both our daughters are entrepreneurs. Mom's eyes welled up. How lucky. Now you're proud. Now that the number's big enough. Diana launched into expansion plans. Mom and Dad listened like she was curing cancer. I listened too. Took notes. Because Diana's boutique was bleeding money. She'd burn through $500,000 in 6 months. Then she'd need more. I was already planning for that. After dinner, I helped Mom with dishes. Callie, she said quietly, Diana needs more support. She's not as naturally capable as you. You've always been so independent. We never worried about you the way we worry about her. You never worried about me? My voice came out flat. Not in the same way. You're a survivor. Diana's more fragile. Fragile. Diana drove a Mercedes, wore Cartier sunglasses, posted $3,000 shopping trips. I ate rice and chicken 5 days straight, begged my landlord for extensions. But Diana was fragile. I understand, I said. And I did. Nothing would change their minds, unless I owned everything they valued. I drove back to Portland to my studio with the broken heater, but I wasn't just Callie who lives in a studio apartment anymore. I was Callie who owns a $2.3 million building. My parents would get their first rent statement in 3 days. They'd pay rent to me, and they wouldn't even know it. Now on to the next part. I spent 3 days building the fake investor identity, Crescent Capital Group, professional website, registered agent, corporate address that forwarded to a P.O. box I'd rented under the LLC. The voice modulation software was harder. I tested it obsessively. Too robotic, too obvious, not enough change. Finally settled on a setting that lowered my pitch just enough, added a slight echo that sounded like a conference room. I looked nothing like myself on camera. Hair pulled back severely. Reading glasses I didn't need. Navy blazer, borrowed from a colleague. Angle the laptop so the light washed out my features. Diana wouldn't recognize me. I was 90% sure. The 10% made my hands shake when I scheduled the call. Ashley answered on the second ring. Crescent Capital? Hi, this is Ashley Chen. Ashley, Jennifer Park, CEO. I'm calling about investment opportunities in Seattle retail. My voice came through the speaker, strange and distant. Not quite me. Oh, how did you hear about us? We've been watching your boutique for months. The aesthetic is gorgeous. We understand you're expanding? Yes, 2 new locations. It's very exciting. It's also expensive. Have you secured full funding? A pause. We have seed capital from family, but we're open to discussing additional investment. What if I told you Crescent Capital is prepared to invest $300,000 for 60% equity? 60? Ashley's voice rose. That's majority ownership. It is, but Ashley, let me be frank. I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd built. Your current location barely breaks even. You're spending $4,000 monthly on aesthetic elements that don't drive revenue. Your inventory turns over every 127 days when industry standard is 60. Without proper funding and oversight, you'll be insolvent by next summer. Silence. I'd need to discuss this with Diana. Of course. Here's my number, but don't wait too long. We have other retail opportunities we're considering. 2 days later, I was parked 3 blocks from Diana's apartment when I heard her voice. She was on her phone, walking to her car. I'd tracked her location through Find My Friends. We'd added each other years ago for safety. She'd never thought to remove me. Mom, they're insane! Diana's voice carried across the parking lot. They want 60%! 60! I rolled down my window slightly, slid lower in my seat. I know we need the money, but... Diana's voice cracked. They're making me track everything. They questioned why I spent $400 on a vase. A vase. It's about the aesthetic, Mom. That's what makes the boutique special. My jaw clenched. $400 on a vase, while I'd been heating my apartment with my oven because the heater was broken. What should I do? Diana sounded smaller now. Ashley thinks we should take it. She showed me the numbers and... Mom, we're barely breaking even. I didn't realize how bad it was. A pause while Mom responded. But if I take their money, they control everything. It won't be mine anymore. My chest tightened. Part of me wanted to drive away. Then Diana said, At least you and Dad believe in me. That $500,000 will help so much. I just wish Callie was more supportive, you know? She's always been kind of cold about the boutique. The tightness in my chest turned to ice. Cold. I was cold. I'd eaten rice and beans for months, worked 70-hour weeks, asked for help once, just once, and been told to be more financially responsible, while they handed Diana $500,000, and I was cold. I started the car and drove home. That night, Ashley called back. We'd like to accept your offer. Through the phone, I heard Diana in the background. Tell them we want creative control. You'll retain creative control, I said smoothly. We're silent partners. But inventory management, pricing strategy, cost controls, those are non-negotiable. We understand, Ashley said. Excellent. My lawyer will send contracts tomorrow. The signed contracts arrived Tuesday at 3:04 p.m. My lawyer had set up a screen share. I watched Diana hesitate, then sign, page after page. When she finished, she set down the pen and pressed both palms flat on the table. Her shoulders slumped. I felt something twist in my chest. Victory? Guilt? Both? I owned 60% of Diana's boutique. Everything she'd built, everything she thought was hers, I controlled now. The family group chat lit up Saturday morning. Dad, Callie, can we reschedule tomorrow's meeting? Big client presentation came up. Mom, or maybe we could do a phone call instead. They were trying to wiggle out. I typed, no. 2 p.m. today at your house. This isn't optional. The group chat went silent. 30 seconds later, Mom. Okay, sweetheart. We'll be there. I sat in my car outside their house for 20 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white. My phone buzzed. Mom, we're all here waiting. Come inside when you're ready. I picked up my briefcase and walked to the door. They were in the living room, Dad in his armchair, Mom on the couch next to Diana, all three watching me with concern, confusion, wariness. Callie, honey, Mom started. What's this about? I set my briefcase on the coffee table, opened my laptop. I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen without interrupting. Diana shifted uncomfortably. You're scaring me. Good, I said. Dad frowned. Callie, do any of you know who owns Hartwell Properties LLC? Silence. The company that bought our building? Dad said slowly. No, we've tried to find out, but the ownership structure is... It's me. The words hung in the air. Mom's face went blank. What? Hartwell Properties LLC. I own it. Which means I own your building, Dad. You've been paying rent to me for 3 months. Dad's face cycled through emotions too fast to track. Confusion, shock, disbelief, then pale recognition. That's not possible. It's very possible. I formed the LLC with investors, made you an offer 15% above market value, and you accepted. Remember? You were thrilled about the unexpected opportunity. The color drained from his face. Why would you... Mom started. I'm not done. I turned to Diana. Her eyes were already wide, like some part of her knew what was coming. Do you know who owns Crescent Capital Group, the investment firm that gave you $300,000? Diana's hand went to her mouth. No, you didn't. That's me too. A shell company I control. Jennifer Park? I pulled out a photo of myself in the borrowed blazer, severe hair, reading glasses. That was me. Voice modulation software, different camera angle. You sat across from a screen and negotiated with me, and you never knew. Oh my God. Diana stood up, her face flushing red. Oh my God, this is insane. Why would you? Because you stole from me, and Mom and Dad helped you do it. I turned my laptop around, showing the spreadsheet. This shows every dollar, $347,000 in gifts over 10 years, plus $165,000 Diana took from my trust inheritance. That's $512,000 total you gave her while I ate ramen. And then you handed her $500,000 of your own money instead of paying back my trust inheritance. Mom's hand went to her mouth. We didn't think you needed it, Mom said. Tears were forming in her eyes. You were doing so well. I was eating ramen. The words exploded out. I was working 70-hour weeks. My heater was broken and I couldn't afford to fix it. I asked you for help 6 months ago and you told me to be more financially responsible. My hands were shaking, face burning hot. I could feel my pulse in my temples. We thought you were fine, Mom whispered. You never said, because every time I tried, you made it about Diana. Diana needs this. Diana's struggling. Diana's more fragile. I stopped asking because asking meant being told I was selfish for wanting what she got for free. Diana was crying now. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. I spun toward her. You spent $2,400 on a Celine handbag with my inheritance money. I was eating pasta with butter because I couldn't afford sauce. You posted that handbag on Instagram with the caption, "Treat yourself." I pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshot. Her face went white. I have 249 of these. Every gift, every shopping trip, every dollar. I documented everything while you spent my money on Italian marble and designer clothes. Callie, please. Dad stood up. Sit. Down. Something in my voice made him freeze. He sat. Before Grandma died, she knew this would happen. I pulled out the audio player. She recorded conversations with you. I pressed play. Grandma's voice filled the room. Thomas, Linda, the trust is divided exactly as stated. $125,000 to Diana at 30, $165,000 to Callie at 30. Not before. Not in emergency distributions. Mom started sobbing. If Diana needs help, you help her from your own assets, not from Callie's inheritance. I stopped the playback. Mom reached for me. Sweetheart, we're so sorry. I stepped back so fast I hit the wall. Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me. My voice cracked. I hated that it cracked. Hated that part of me still wanted her comfort even now. How can you do this to us? Mom whispered. We're your family. You did this to me first. The words ripped out of my chest. For 28 years. You just didn't notice because I was too polite to say anything. Diana's mascara was running. She looked younger, smaller. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. You didn't realize because you never had to realize. Everything was handed to you. Everything was easy, and I was invisible. I pulled out the final documents, physical contracts, placed them on the coffee table with shaking hands. Here's what happens now. Dad, you'll continue paying rent to me. Market rate, 5% annual increases. I'm not evicting you. I'm just making sure you remember every month who owns what you thought was yours. Dad looked gutted. Diana, your boutique operates under my mandated business practices. Follow them. You'll become profitable. Fight me. I'll exercise my majority ownership and replace you with Ashley. Diana's hands were trembling. And Mom, Dad, you'll pay me back the $165,000 stolen from my trust. $5,000 monthly. First payment due next week. Miss one payment, I evict you from the building. Contracts right here. Page 4. I pushed the documents toward them. Callie, you can't be serious. Dad reached for the contract. Sign it or lose everything tonight. This is our family, Mom sobbed. How can I? My vision was blurring at the edges. You chose Diana over me every single day for 28 years. You gave her my inheritance. You gave her everything. And when I finally take back what's mine, I'm the villain? The room was silent except for Mom's crying. Diana spoke, her voice small. What if we refuse? Then the rent triples next month, and I call the loan on the boutique. You'll lose both buildings and the business. Your choice. I picked up my briefcase. I spent my whole life being invisible, being told I was strong and independent while you gave Diana everything, being told I was selfish for wanting fairness. I walked toward the door, then turned back. Now I own everything you thought was yours. Your building, Diana's boutique, the life you built on my stolen inheritance. And every time you pay rent, every time Diana needs my approval for a business decision, you'll remember that the daughter you overlooked is the one who holds all the power. Callie, please. Mom stood up. You have until midnight to sign and return the contracts. After that, the terms change. My lawyer's number is on page 1. I walked out into the gray afternoon. Behind me, Mom was crying. Dad was saying something about lawyers. Diana said something I couldn't hear. I got in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel. I'd done it. I'd said everything I needed to say. My phone was buzzing, Mom calling, then Dad, then Diana. I turned off my phone and drove back to Portland. 6 months later, I stood in my new office overlooking the Willamette River. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern desk, 5 employees, 12 clients, revenue projections at $1.2 million for the year. I was successful, legitimately, undeniably successful. The contracts had arrived back signed at 11:47 p.m. that night, 13 minutes before my deadline. Dad's signature was shaky. Mom's had a smudge like she'd been crying. The first rent payment cleared on the 15th. $200, deposited directly into Hartwell Properties LLC. Every month after that, the same, like clockwork. Diana's boutique followed my mandated practices. Inventory turnover improved, costs dropped. By month 3, they were profitable for the first time ever. My parents sent emails every few weeks. I flagged them as junk mail. Diana sent a letter 2 months after the confrontation. Dear Callie, I've written this 17 times. I still don't know what to say. You were right about everything. I spent your money. I took your inheritance. I told myself I needed it more, that you were fine. But I knew. Deep down, I knew. I remember when you asked for help with student loans. I was in the next room. I heard Dad tell you to be more financially responsible. That same week, he gave me $15,000 for inventory. I took the money and said nothing. I know you probably hate me. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I see it now. I see what I did. What we all did. I'm sorry doesn't cover it, but I'm sorry anyway. I love you. I miss you. Diana. I'd read it once, put it in my desk drawer, never responded. I thought about Grandma sometimes, what she'd think of all this. I opened my laptop, pulled up the family group chat I'd muted, scrolled through messages I'd never read. Mom, Diana made her first profit this quarter. She wanted you to know. Dad, we made this month's payment. On time as always. Diana, I know you won't read this, but I got accepted to that business management course, the one you told me about 3 years ago. You were right. I needed it. Mom, it's Thanksgiving. We miss you. Dad, Merry Christmas, Callie. Diana, Happy birthday. I know it's your 29th. I remembered. I'd missed Thanksgiving, Christmas, my own birthday. I pulled up Diana's letter, read it again. In my WhatsApp, I typed, Di, I got your letter. I'm not ready to forgive everything yet, but I'm willing to try something. Deleted it. Typed, want to get coffee next week? Just us. No parents, no business talk, just sisters. My finger hovered over send. Then I hit the button before I could change my mind. I set down my phone, looked out at the river, the city, everything I'd built. I didn't know if Diana and I would ever be close again. Didn't know if my parents and I would ever have a real relationship. Didn't know if forgiveness was even possible. But I knew this. I'd stood up for myself and taken back my inheritance, my power, my voice. And maybe that was enough. I didn't need their approval anymore, and they'd never make me invisible again.